Have you ever had that feeling, where you're just stuck, dealing with the same frustrating problem over and over again? It could be at work, in your team, maybe even in your own life. And it feels like you're fighting this battle where your best efforts just fizzle out? Well, what if the real problem isn't your solution at all? What if it's the way you're seeing the problem in the first place? It's an idea that honestly could change everything. Okay, so get this quote. The name of this devil is success. It sounds completely upside down, right? But as the systems thinker Jamshid Gharajedaghi says, our greatest wins often set the stage for our biggest failures. I mean, think about it. You had these companies praised in the famous book In Search of Excellence, and just 4 years later, 14 of them had totally lost their edge. We see this pattern everywhere. Success today can be a trap tomorrow. And there's a name for this. It's called the Icarus paradox. You know the Greek myth, right? Icarus gets these amazing wax wings, flies higher and higher, gets a little too cocky, a little too close to the sun, and then his wings melt and he crashes. That is exactly what happens when we double down on a successful strategy until it becomes our only strategy. A strength, when you push it too far, becomes a fatal flaw. That amazing innovation, it turns into chasing tech for tech's sake. That incredible attention to detail, it becomes a crippling obsession with tiny things that don't matter.
So why does this keep happening? Well, it turns out the real flaw isn't in our plans or our solutions. It's in our eyesight. It's in our perspective. We think we're solving the problem, but we might not even be seeing the real problem to begin with.
It's kind of like that old story about the blind men and the elephant. It captures this perfectly. You've got one guy touching the elephant's trunk, and he says, oh, it's a snake. Another guy feels the leg and is absolutely convinced, nope, it's a pillar. Then a third guy grabs the tail and argues you're both wrong, it's a rope. Now here's the thing. They're all kind of right about the little piece they're touching, but they are all 100% wrong about what an elephant is. And that's us. When we only see our own department's world or our own little slice of the problem, we completely miss the elephant in the room. And this is what happens next. The finger pointing begins. We've all been there, right? You've heard it, you've probably even said it. If only the marketing team would get their act together. Or, this is all finance's fault. We create this us versus them story in our heads because we literally cannot see how our own actions are feeding the very problem we're complaining about. We don't realize we're all part of the same animal. Okay, so if we want to see the whole elephant, we need a new pair of glasses. We have to stop staring at the individual parts and start looking at the connections between them. And this is the huge shift at the heart of systems thinking. So what is a system, really? Well, it's just a bunch of interconnected parts that are organized in a way that does something. A car, a forest, a company, they're all systems. But here's the crucial idea. The most important things about a system, properties like success or failure, they're emergent. They don't live in any one part. They pop out from the interactions. You can't find the speed of a car by looking at a single tire, right? It's the whole thing working together. The same goes for a company's success. Now, our default way of thinking, the way we're all taught in school, is analytical. We see something complicated and we take it apart to understand it. You want to know how a clock works? You take it apart. And that's great for clocks, but for really messy, complex problems, it just doesn't work. Systems thinking flips that on its head. It's about synthesis, about seeing the relationships, the patterns, the whole picture. Okay, this is absolutely critical. We so often treat our organizations like they're just machines, mindless systems. But a company is not a machine. It's a multi-minded system. Its parts aren't cogs in a wheel. They're people, with their own ideas and motivations and choices. A machine is predictable. You push a lever, something happens. A human system, it's messy, it's creative, it's alive, and it can actually change itself from the inside out. Trying to manage a group of people like you'd manage a machine is, well, a recipe for disaster. And once you really get that distinction, your whole job changes. You stop being a problem fixer, just running around putting out fires. You start becoming a system designer. You move from reacting to actually creating. This is such a powerful idea. Instead of just patching up a problem when it appears, you start asking a much better question. What is it about our system that's creating this problem in the first place? And how can we redesign the system so this problem doesn't even happen? You see the difference? The goal isn't just to solve a problem, it's to dissolve it, to make it impossible for it to exist. And this shows you what we're really dealing with. It's not one single, neat little problem. It's what systems thinkers call a mess, a big, tangled web of interconnected issues. When you try to pull on just one thread, like trying to fix teacher incentives without looking at funding or politics, you don't untangle the knot. You just make it tighter somewhere else.
I love this quote. It's so wildly counterintuitive, but it's the absolute heart of systems design. With infeasible parts, you can create a feasible whole. What on earth does that mean? It means you can stop trying to make every single person or every single department perfect. That's impossible. The real magic, the real genius, is in how you connect them. It's in the design of the relationships. You can have a team of imperfect people, but if you design the system right, they can do incredible things together.
Okay, I know this can all feel a little abstract, a little up in the clouds, but systems thinking is a skill. It's a muscle you can actually train. So let's do a quick rep right now just to feel how it works.
We're going to play a super simple word game. I'm going to ask you 4 questions. I want you to say the answer out loud and do it fast. Don't overthink it. You ready? Okay, let's go.
First one, what do we call the tree that grows from acorns? Number 2, what do we call a funny story? And third, what do we call the sound a frog makes? And last one, quick, what do we call the white of an egg? So, did you say yolk? If you did, don't worry, you're in very good company. Almost everyone does. But of course, the white of an egg is called the albumin. So, what just happened? Your brain is a brilliant pattern-matching machine. It heard oak, joke, croak, and it just automatically, without you even thinking, served up yolk. That's a mental model in action. It's a hidden shortcut in your brain. And systems thinking at its core is the practice of finding those hidden patterns and questioning them before we act. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It really comes down to a fundamental shift in how we look at, well, pretty much every challenge we face. Let's just boil it down to a new mindset. First, you learn to look past the day-to-day crises and see the underlying structures that cause them. Second, you stop blaming the players and you start getting really curious about the game itself. Then, you shift all that energy we're using to find fault and you start using it to design a better game for everyone. And maybe the most important and humbling piece, you realize you're not an outsider looking in. You are part of the very system you want to change. Ultimately, if you remember just one thing, let it be this. The single most powerful move you can make is to stop asking, whose fault is this? And to start asking a much better question. What is the system here, and how can we, together, redesign it? Because that shift from blame to design, that's where everything changes. It's how you go from being a victim of a frustrating situation to being the architect of a better one. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. What unsolvable problem in your work or in your life is actually just a system waiting for you to see it and redesign it?